Welcome to my channel, welcome to my greenhouse. This is about the third one I've built so far this summer. I want to talk to you today about some of the things I've been doing with my aquaponic systems and some of the good, the bad, and the ugly that I've discovered along with that. So when you saw me glancing down to the side there, this is my aquaponic system, very basic version of it. It's supposed to be keeping edible fish and all kinds of things like that, but I just didn't want to pay for the permits. Call it duck. Run this garden off of a dozen or so goldfish that started off as feeder fish from the local pet store, like 49 cents each or something ridiculous like that. I'd say the most expensive part of it was this piece here, followed closely by the pump. I probably got a higher level pump than I needed, but I intend to build a much bigger system. So just a quick word about some of the things that you're going to see here growing in my aquaponics bin. Along the back area here, I'm starting to take up some of the middle. I have my Swiss chard. It's either bright lights or neon lights, something like that. I have found that it makes an excellent substitution for spinach in just about anything. And in these aquaponic beds, once it gets comfortably established, it will grow and outproduce anything you've got in the dirt without question. It is easily paid for itself and a good chunk of some of the other things you see in this greenhouse. Besides that, I have just a regular basil here. This started off as a clipping from our basil plants up here that you won't be able to see in the shot. But it has grown a very nice root system. I'll pull that out for you a little later on with the handheld so you can get a good view of the roots. This is tricolor sage. Again, it's taken from a clipping of the one we bought at the local nursery. It has grown quite well though, considering we got it in a 4-inch pot. I've also managed to stretch it out into a probably 18-inch by 6-inch pot as well. Got a very healthy sage production so far this year. Looking forward to more. What we've got here are a couple of tomato branches that broke off of some of the tomatoes you'll see later on in some of my other videos. And out of curiosity, I stuck them in here to see if they would root, and they've not only rooted, they've grown quite substantially, and this one here looks like it's going to fruit, which would make it the first thing that I've had actually produce fruit in an aquaponics tank, which again I'll get to later. Down here, I just yesterday harvested my chocolate mint that I've got here, but I found that the chocolate mint and the pineapple mint, which is another just wonderfully aromatic mint, grow amazingly well here in the aquaponics system. I've got bee balm and some lemon balm, wonderful on pork, the lemon balm, you gotta like that. It, again, has recently been harvested, so it looks very scraggly, but I assure you in 2 weeks it will look much bigger than that. Got some summer savory that once again started off as a clipping from a plant. I've got some Italian oregano growing here. Again, it's another one of those clippings. I'll talk to you about that a great deal in my cloning episode. This here is a little stubborn yellow pepper that, even though it's August and it never really made it out of the cloning tray, seems to be trying to produce fruit, so I'm going to see what it can do with the power provided by my goldfish down there. Got a little bit of chives growing because you can never have too many chives, they're so good for you. Back here I've got some rosemary. I've got something here that I will definitely feature in a later video. It's called Cuban oregano, and it has in the last couple of months easily become my favorite of the oregano family. Like I said, I'll be happy to tell you more about that later. From what I can see, an aquaponic system requires a few very basic concepts to be covered, but you don't really have to stick to any one regime, so to speak. This white pipe here is my irrigation. It goes from the pump that I got from I believe it was Art Naps, the local nursery supply store, and it is designed for fountain use and fish ponds. When you're getting a pump for these systems, I think it's really important to make sure you get something that is designed to go in an environment with fish. Regular sump pumps and such can sometimes leak oils and chemicals into their water that wouldn't necessarily be good for them. One thing you need is some sort of a draining system. What I have here is, as an avid YouTuber myself, I discovered Afman, I believe his name was. It was a while ago I was looking at this stuff, and his auto siphon, auto drain. This thing works amazingly well and is stupidly easy to build. I suggest looking at his videos, and I will try and find a link for that for you to add to this later. Instead of using dirt, using just clay pellets, you can get these at pretty much any indoor growing supply store. You know, they're pretty usual medium, should be available in any medium to large size community. You can put pretty much any plant you want into an aquaponics table or bed. You'll find them called both in the stores. This particular plastic table cost me $50 and had no holes in the bottom. I had to drill to attach this, which is exactly what I was looking for. In a lot of videos you'll see much deeper aquaponics tables, but this is what I found, so this is what I used. When you see my earliest aquaponics system, you'll understand that I use what's at hand. I found the green leafy veg does incredibly well in here. Herbs do incredibly well in the aquaponics. But as I kind of alluded to earlier, I've really failed to see any kind of fruit produced in the system. It's fantastic with the foliage. It produces green growth. It's great for cloning. But I was hoping to be able to grow my peppers in here. And, you know, I've got one in there right now, but I just put it in there today. I don't even know if it'll be alive tomorrow, to be perfectly honest. But it's still absolutely worth it. Can easily save as much as it costs within the first year to just growing salads. It's so much healthier for you this way. You know, I've used absolutely no unnatural chemicals, nothing, no pesticides, no herbicides, no fertilizers. It all comes from the fish, and the water gets pumped up through this white pipe here and distributed at one end of the tank or the table. Filters through all of these clay pellets. And then, because it travels through all of the holes and such in the clay pellets, there's microbacteria that are just naturally found anyway that develop as the tank ages. And it processes the fish waste into something that the plants can consume en masse as a fertilizer that is, you know, nature's solution to how do you deal with fish waste. You know, ever wonder why the trees and such are so big in the oasis and the desert scenes? It's because if there's fish in there, there's waste. If there's waste, there's food for all of its plants. You know, one of my big beefs is the way that aquaculture, which is the raising of fish, just dumps all its chemicals out there, and hydroponics, which is, you know, the raising of plants with man-made chemicals, just dumps all those chemicals out there. I'd like to see these two people get together and use an aquaponics system and perhaps just keep it cleaner. You know, it's better for everybody. It's healthier for the fish. It's healthier for the food. Like I say, though, the Shard has been an amazing producer in here. I look forward to setting this up over the winter time. I'm going to build a little greenhouse dome to go over top of it just to ensure that it keeps some of its warmth. And hopefully I'll be able to continue to harvest that Shard right through till January. Earlier in the video you may have noticed this bin. This is one of my earliest aquaponic systems, and as I kind of said, I'll use whatever's at hand if I can't afford what you're supposed to have. And this is a really basic system. I've just got hoses that drain down into an old piece of, I believe it was a hockey net. But the kids, I asked first, and they let me take it apart to use it for my experiments, so big props to my boys on that one, thank you very much. But what I've done with this one is I've made kind of a desert bin out of it. These things like their medium to get fairly dry in between each and every one of their waterings, so I still water this by hand, same as I do with the strawberry bin that you'll see in just a second. I couldn't afford the pump when I first got this together. The whole point and purpose was to get it as cheap as I possibly could. And I paid about $35 for each bag of this clay pellet stuff. I think I ended up with 2 of those, maybe 3. So that really kind of set me back as far as keeping things cheap. So I'm not going to kid you, this is not the easiest or cheapest way to garden. It's just fascinating and very productive. Very simple though. I'll show you how I fill it in 1 second. So I just make sure the fish aren't going to be scooped up, and good old-fashioned Tupperware from probably late 1970s. Got to give it to that. Tupperware stuff is built to last. I just fill it up a little bit. And then it drains through those air pipes that I got at the local Walmart in their pet supply area. I think it's supposed to be air stones for fish. Those are powering. And drains out, drips into the fish tank, provides a little oxygen for them while filtering their water. Which isn't that much of an issue on this one, as the big tank is running 24/7. They've got an excellent water filtration system developed. Over here is our strawberry bin. This is the other half of the original aquaponics table that we had set up. Somehow we managed to keep this puppy alive all winter last year. I think we had a cake dome over it to try and trap some of its heat. But because of the fish tanks, which have a heater in them because they've just got goldfish in here, the water that was running through was enough to keep it from freezing all the way through, and provided enough heat that I was able, as I say, to keep this alive and green all winter long. Of course, it wasn't bearing any fruit, because it shouldn't even have been drained, but I thought it was interesting that somehow that managed to live through. But this is powered the same way as my desert bin over there. And I just fill it up with the same old jug, and I don't have to worry too much about these fish, because these are just my little tiny feeder fish, kind of almost too small to go into the tank with the automated pump. And then every time I walk past the greenhouse, I fill up the strawberry bin, and it filters the water for those goldfish and provides that little bit of extra oxygen.